version of, of Lab Wednesday. We appreciate your time and coming out and gaining some valuable knowledge that hopefully will be something that you can use going forward. And my name is Rodney Walker. I'm the business coordinator for YouthWorks Private Sector. I'm joined today by Mr. Tim Johnson, the job coach for YouthWorks Private Sector. If you've ever been employed with YouthWorks Private Sector employers, then you have met and worked with Mr. Johnson in the past. Also joining our team today is Taylor Curry, our support specialist in the office at YouthWorks. And look, we thanks again for your time. So we're going to talk today about a couple of things, but first, let's let you know a little bit about YouthWorks Private Sector. We're the portion of YouthWorks which actually recruits private employers to hire young adults like yourselves in the industry categories that you really want to focus on and are training for every day. We work with young adults ages 16 to 21. That's significant only because YouthWorks works with young adults ages 14 to 21, but private sector starts at age 16. And we place young adults in a variety of areas or industry classifications. Most of them are patterned after the curriculum that comes out of the CTA citywide school opportunities. But anything that you can think of that and anything that you're training for, we place candidates in those positions. So why would you even consider YouthWorks Private Sector? Well, there are a number of benefits. One, you're able to typically work and gain some workforce skills. Like this, I'm not sure, I haven't kept count, but this is probably our fourth Lab Wednesday, maybe even greater, just based on the dates. And we share information that is typically provided at our job readiness sessions. And that's why the first screen said Job Readiness Academy. So we pulled out a module each week so that we could share with you. And so you get a great influx of what would be obtained in terms of building your workforce skills and knowledge. Another benefit is you often get to work in your chosen field. If you ever worked for YouthWorks before, you might have an opportunity to work for a summer camp or work with Rex and Parks. That is great and it's fun. But suppose you actually wanted to, work in your field of nursing because you're pursuing nursing. Suppose you wanted to work in the field of construction because you were pursuing carpentry. Well, with private sector, you'd have an opportunity to do that. What another benefit might be, you actually are typically employed longer. For example, YouthWorks operates 5 to 6 weeks. This year it'll be a 6-week summer session. But you as a private sector may start sooner and you may end longer, which gives you a greater opportunity for advanced income. Speaking of income, another benefit is private sector young adults typically earn more than the minimum wage. So those are just some of the benefits of utilizing and working with private sector employers. So today we're going to talk about financial literacy, something that's close to all of your hearts, I'm certain. Every year, if you participated in YouthWorks, you probably got some lesson or session of financial literacy. And if you can hone in some of these skills, start while you're young, then you'd be surprised what an impact it'll make on your life going forward. I think any one of the individuals, I won't say my age, older than you, that's on this call would agree if they had gotten a course in financial literacy when they were younger, they would have loved to have had it. But what is financial literacy? Well, basically, it's the ability to understand and effectively use various financial skills, such as financial management, budgeting, investment. But the key takeaway is the lack of these skills is called financial illiteracy. So if you don't get anything else, pay a little bit of attention about this because it could really, really benefit you as you start to earn income through YouthWorks and other opportunities throughout the summer. So what are some strategies that you can do to improve your financial literacy? We talked about a lot of different things, but you could create a budget. I know right now you're in school, you might not have a need for a budget, but once you begin working, A budget will allow you to, number one, know where your money is going out after it comes in. And it'll allow you to plan before your money comes in where it's going. By doing that, you'll find out that when it's all said and done, you'll have money left over that you can begin to save. It can also help you to build your credit. It might sound kind of young for us to be talking about building credit, but this is a great opportunity to start that process. Building credit is a key aspect that you'll come into contact with in a short span. Can I say short span? 18 is not 16 is not too young to start building credit. You also would obtain your credit report. Once you sort of a document like your report card. Your report card lists all of the classes that you take, and then it assesses it with a grade. Well, your credit report does something similar. It lists all the accounts that you have, and then it rates them to create what's called your credit score. And of course, the next bullet point is obtain and understand your credit score. If you've ever seen commercials for Experian, that's one of the more popular ones. Then or TransUnion, that is two of the three major. There are four, but major credit bureaus that keep track of your score and help determine if you get a cell phone, if you're able to buy a car down the road, if you're able to buy a home. It does a great impact on many aspects of your financial life. And then what you want to do, just like in your classrooms, you want to practice these skills and build on them. And YouthWorks is a great start because you can start with building that budget. Steps to building credit. Well, one of the key things you see on the YouthWorks application every year is to ask you, how do you want to get paid? Well, the second two items revolve around creating a savings or a checking account. That is very key because that'll start building a relationship with your bank. Individuals are more likely to work with other individuals that they feel that they know and can trust. So building or starting or creating a checking account is one of the key things I'd like for you to consider as you begin working this summer. I know a lot of you have already done so. And if you haven't, look into opening a checking account. It also helps you to learn to manage your income. I mentioned this a little earlier. Money comes in and then money goes out, right? But if you know exactly what you're spending, it'll give you an opportunity before you spend it. It'll give you an opportunity to know exactly how much you want to save. Some of the more well-known and wealthy individuals in the world today always say, make sure you pay yourself first. So keep that in mind. And you also want to know how to understand how credit cards work. You might say, why am I talking to you about credit cards? Well, I'll tell you something. In my career, I worked a number of places. One of them was Verizon Wireless. One day, a person I talked to who was age 16 wanted to get a cell phone. He had his own credit card. He needed parental signature because he was under 18, but the application was able to be put in his name because he had done a lot of these things that we had talked about, and he even had his own credit card. But you have to be responsible in order to obtain that. And of course, borrow money and pay it back. That could be as basic, again, as a cell phone. When you have a cell phone, you're given an allotment of minutes that you're borrowing those minutes until you pay them off. That's an example for paying off, borrowing and paying a debt back. And then you want to follow these steps to build your credit. Some additional things to building credit is make sure you have a way to pay it back. So the last thing you want to do is get off this call and you're not working yet and apply for a credit card, or have your parents assist you apply for a credit card and receive it, but you don't have a way to pay it back. So make sure if you take out any sort of a debt, make sure that you first have a way to get that money back. And remember, it takes credit to build credit. So you do want to start somewhere. And again, an aspect of it is creating that checking account. So that's a great way to start because it's starting to build that relationship with your financial institution. Another way to obtain a credit card is to set up a prepaid card. That prepaid card will contact all of the bureaus. It's the same as a credit card that you would get directly from any institution that's unsecured, but a secured credit card or prepaid card also reports to the credit bureaus, which builds your score. So you pay it on time and you'll build your score. And you can also become an authorized user on adults, one of your family members' credit cards. That doesn't give you access to the card, but it helps build your name based on their credit worthiness. That's things that a lot of parents that I run across have done in order to help get their young adults off to a great start when it comes to building credit. And again, look at those credit reports. Learn how to monitor your credit. That's another key step. We already mentioned this already. Another aspect of financial literacy is a checking account. Now, I mentioned something to you earlier. I know a lot of you that have already worked for YouthWorks already have checking accounts. We have one partner, which we'll talk about if we were doing in-person sessions like in years past, who would appear at all of our sessions, called Security Plus. Well, we had a meeting with this earlier, and there are still over 2,000 Security Plus accounts open and active with money in them. So we know that you're learning and you're following through. So one great place to start in financial literacy is to open up a checking account. Why would you do that? For one thing, you can cash and deposit your check there. You wouldn't have to need assistance from a parent or guardian. You wouldn't have to go to a local check cashing place. You could go to your bank or your banking institution and cash or deposit your check. You can receive money without worrying about carrying it around. You know that your bank will come with a debit card, which is the next bullet point. So you can make transactions and purchases without being inundated with carrying around your entire income in your pocket or purse. And of course, the other benefit is through direct deposit, funds and income can go directly into that checking or savings account so that you have access to it immediately and can also save it immediately. One important aspect about opening a checking account is you will get a statement to let you know what's in it. It'll let you know what went in your account. It'll let you know each and every transaction that occurred, whether you went to the ATM, whether you went to the store and made a purchase with your debit card, whether you went online and purchased something from Amazon. It'll let you know each and every transaction that occurs on that monthly statement. You can help also by setting up a savings plan. I mentioned checking account. Oftentimes, you can set up a savings account right next to your checking account. And if you use online, or even if you want to go into the banking institution, it makes it easy for you to transfer some of your money or some of your income from your checking into your savings and start building a little nest egg for yourself. And as I mentioned earlier, it certainly is a way to keep your money safe. In these times, very important. And bank accounts lead to other forms of credit. Again, because that banking institution knows you, they trust you, they're building a relationship with you. And that's another key aspect of building credit, but more importantly, just in general, adding to your financial literacy. And it's convenient. You don't have to worry about a paper check, where your money went, when it's coming, where it's going. You know that your money is in your account and you can anticipate how much and where to find it. I mentioned earlier that some of the checking account options that come, and that would come in the form of the aspect of, it's just so embarrassing. Mr. Johnson, you should have turned your phone off. But there are a number of different options, and if you've already completed your YouthWorks application, you know that one of them is Security Plus. That is the partner that works with YouthWorks specifically in opening up accounts designed for our young adults. There are no fees that are attached to it. Even if you only work annually with YouthWorks, your account won't be closed. There are no items where there's a chance of overdrawing your account. So it's a great partnership. But there are other banking institutions out there. We see them come across application. You may have your own bank account. That is perfectly fine. We're not pushing or endorsing Security Plus. I just wanted you to know some of the benefits of it. And then the other way that you could get paid this summer is through a pay card. Most of the young adults actually do receive a pay card for their YouthWorks income. That pay card is acts and feels and works just like a debit card. And so you can do a lot of the things that I just mentioned with a checking account. The difference is, of course, you cannot save and there is no relationship that you're building. But that is a method by which young adults, or the three methods by which young adults can will receive their income this year in YouthWorks. Unfortunately, once you submit that button on the application, you can't go back in and change your option. But this is some forward thinking. Even if you're getting paid by pay card this year, it doesn't stop you from beginning that process of opening up your own checking account so that you can start putting funds and resources and saving. And again, building that relationship with your banking institution. So every year we get a question as to if a person files exempt, how come money comes out of their paycheck no matter what? Or why is there a tax taken out? Well, there's something called FICA, and that stands for the Federal Insurance Contributions Act. So no matter who you are, how much you earn, if you receive income from an employer, W-4, from an employer, then there's going to be something called a mandatory tax withholding, which is FICA. And it's based on the two percentages that you see. 6.2% goes automatically to Social Security and your future benefits, and 1.45% automatically goes to Medicare and your future health care. So no matter what, if you claimed exempt, it doesn't matter. At least 7.65% of your income in terms of FICA will come out of your paycheck. So this week, I kind of mentioned already that YouthWorks will function and operate for 6 weeks. And that's 20 hours a week for 6 weeks. But there's one holiday in there, 4th of July, and I think it's a Sunday, so you'll get off that Monday the 5th. And so you wouldn't be compensated for that one day. So the maximum number of hours that you could earn income for in YouthWorks this summer is 115 total hours. Your YouthWorks begins on June 28th, and the last day of operation for you will be August the 6th. Of course, if you're in private sector, it may start sooner and it may end later. But you can see on the screen the dates or the pay periods for which your YouthWorks summer sessions will operate. And this lets you know when you actually will be compensated. So you begin your YouthWorks position on June 28th. Your first paycheck will be on July 23rd. I mentioned earlier the session ends on August the 6th, and you'll get another paycheck on August the 6th. And then 2 weeks after that, you'll get your final YouthWorks paycheck on August the 20th. So you work 6 weeks, you get paid every 2 weeks, and you get paid 3 times. We want to thank you for joining us today for our presentation on financial literacy. And if you have any questions about this or YouthWorks application, now is the time to ask myself, Mr. Johnson, or Ms. Curry. And Adenike, thank you for your time as well.
Mr. Walker, thank you. And I do want to respond to two, mention or speak in terms of 2 things that you talked about. To encourage our young people. First of all, young people, Mr. Walker talked about the accounts or savings accounts or things of that nature. I'm going to give you an example of when I was a YouthWorks participant. I opened my savings account when I believe I was 16 years old with my, I think it was my 2nd year as a YouthWorks participant. And I opened a savings account, and I ended up using that savings account through my 17 and 18 year, and through, and through junior high school and high school to help buy things like prom tickets and stuff like that. So when I graduated high school and was on my way off to college, I thought I went to the bank and I thought I cleared out the bank account. I was going away to college, so I figured I'll just take whatever money was in that account with me. And so I thought I had closed that account. Well, lo and behold, about 15 years later, I'm sitting at home and I, had got graduated college and gotten, married and everything, had my own little apartment. And a letter came in the mail from a bank saying that we owe you some money. And I was like, what? And that particular bank I was not affiliated with. I said, wow. So, but the branch happened to be maybe a few blocks away from my house. So after work one day, I stopped there, and yes, they did. They even though the bank had changed names over the year, they had owed me. It looks like what happened is I ended up leaving like $25 in that particular account, and over that period of time, it interest accrued on that account, and they owed me over $127 over that period of time. And they found me, and all I had to do was go in and show my ID and everything, and boom, there was my money sitting in that account. And so that just goes to show you how important it is to tuck away and leave some money there. Also, Mr. Walker talked about the idea of credit. Well, I know that it doesn't seem important to you now, but many of you may have things such as cell phone bills. You need to pay your cell phone bill on time because that affects your credit. I work part time at a local auto dealership, and I see many, many young people who are now 20, 21, 22 years old come into the dealership interested in purchasing a vehicle, and the negative mark of not paying their cell phone bill is the only negative thing showing up on their credit, and it causes them to end up having to pay more for that vehicle than someone who has a clean credit. So it's important that you make if you're not going to pay the cell bill, get one that is month to month or week to week or day to day, or you're going to put hours on it or however it works. But you don't want to enter into a cell phone contract and then not pay it, because it goes against your account. And then down the road, when you think everything is fine, you out looking to buy a car, you're getting ready to get an apartment, you want to open up some sort of credit account, and the negative thing they see is you didn't pay your cell phone bill. All right. Now, we've also been answering questions in the chat, and I see that there are some additional questions. All right.
Right.
And it looks like the last thing I answered was a young person had asked, how do they get a sign? And the last statement was, after completing your YouthWorks application, if you decide to stay on the YouthWorks side of the house, then you will be assigned. If you go through YouthWorks private sector, you may have an opportunity to choose your placement. That was the last statement that I made.
Tim, I saw one person ask, do we have childcare positions? I'm not sure how they spelled you, but we're all family here. But typically, I'll be honest with you, we have recruited childcare positions. But what we found is that licensed childcare positions require a number of different things that you are required to do. Background checks, TB tests, other things that typically, if the employer is not going to step up and pay for, would not be in the YouthWorks budget. So to answer you honestly, last year we did not recruit any positions in that field, and for those reasons, and also of course because of COVID. And it doesn't appear as though we'll go back to that unless something changes with the employer, where they decide that they would cover the costs that it takes for someone to work in the child care industry.
Mr. Walker, Mr. Johnson, there's another question. And Ms. Gordon, I don't know if you want to come off mute, but one of the questions is when will students know about their placements?
Good question. So somewhere around June 1st, the letters will be mailed to individuals. I know it's snail mail, but that's the traditional way that YouthWorks identifies and lets you know where your placement will take place. So beginning June 1st, I'm not sure if that's a Monday or not, but that week, if Monday is the 3rd, then it'll go out on the 3rd. But June 1st is the date and time frame that you want to start looking for your YouthWorks opportunity of employment.
Also, in addition to that, if you happen to come over, if you happen to work with us on the YouthWorks private sector side, then the possibility is there, like Mr. Walker said, you may end up starting earlier if your schedule and the company that you end up going with schedule permits. You all may actually start a little sooner. And so therefore you may get information on you employed sooner than January. I mean, like Mr. Walker said, but for the most part, of course, it's going to be in June. The letters are going to come out, but we have in the past worked with companies that actually got started as soon as early as maybe March or even early April. And they wanted employees for that reason. And so you were contacted and notified if you were one of those, because you had gone through the process and everything. And so you may have been notified and started sooner than June.
Thank you.
So the next question is there somewhere people can find a list of possible programs and a brief description of each? And Ms. Blackman, if you're on the line, if you could come off mute, do you mean like the job, the companies and the roles at those companies?
Yes.
Do you mind asking your question? I just want to make sure that Mr. Walker, Mr. Johnson, have a clear understanding.
Oh, okay, sorry. I just mean like, I know that you guys have different programs available, and I was just wondering if there was like a list of all the programs, just so that I sort of know like what I'm getting into.
Ah, okay. So you want to know what you're getting into? That's a good question. One of the things that I would say is that, first of all, like Mr. Walker said earlier, YouthWorks and YouthWorks private sector are two separate entities. YouthWorks is typically going to cover anything that would be, let's say, childcare related, swimming pool type activities, camp activities, a bunch of that type of stuff is, so if you're interested in that type of stuff, then, and I don't know, specific names, a lot of it, of course, is going to be, St. Matthew's summer camp and things of that nature. But if you're interested in that type of field, then you typically are going to want to move in the direction of YouthWorks. If you are interested in construction, healthcare, office type work like computers, clerical, even in the past, now Mr. Walker could probably talk a little bit more about hospitality. As you well knew, last year, hospitality sort of collapsed because of the COVID situation. Previous to last year, 2019 and before, we had a whole bunch of hospitality, everything from hotels to restaurants to working on boats, down at the inner harbor. If you were interested in somebody to work out on, the little ferries and stuff like that, we had young people making good money working on those ferries that took people back and forth from the inner harbor to Canton and places like that. So we have such a variety of jobs. Now, this year, again, now we sort of somewhat in 2020 and somewhat in 2021. So it's sort of, Mr. Walker could probably give you a little bit more detail as to how much of the hospitality is starting to come back. But we have seen some of the companies that were not available to us last year already providing us with opportunities of wanting young people in the hospitality field. So that's just an idea. Now, as far as the companies themselves, it variety and they steady coming in and they typically come in more towards the end of March, early April. But we have just think in terms of if you're interested in healthcare, you want YouthWorks private sector. If you're interested in hospitality, for sure. And again, like I said, Mr. Walker could talk a little more about that. If you're interested in office type work, clerical type work, computer type work, then you want to go with private sector.
Yeah, definitely. What we do have is a number of restaurants that have already said that they will hire young adults, again, above minimum wage. I think that's important to say, only because in many sectors of hospitality, an individual works less than minimum wage because they earn tips. But youth workers will be able to earn more than minimum wage and still earn tips if they're in that work environment in hospitality. Unfortunately, we can only talk to you about industries. We're not allowed to discuss specific employers. We learned our lesson for that many years ago when we mentioned employers and individuals left us and got on the phone and called them. And of course, the positions that we recruit for YouthWorks would be a lot different if you were to call on your own seeking those job opportunities. So, and that's why we list job industries, but not phone numbers. Hope that answers a little bit. The other thing I would mention, I always say this, Mr. Johnson says it as well, surprised he hasn't mentioned on this call. Completing your YouthWorks application sets you in line to know that you will be working this summer. If you don't complete it and you don't get other opportunities, then you will know that you will not be working. So it's a major benefit, as they say, don't put all your eggs in one basket, to complete what you need to do for YouthWorks, because there's a great chance, especially this year. My director I can't say the word guarantee, but those are the kind of words that are being floated around to ensure that every young adult has an opportunity to work this summer in these times and earn income. And if you see that word listed somewhere in the near future, guarantee, if you complete your YouthWorks application and process, remember that you didn't hear it from me first.
Thank you so much. So Mr. Johnson and Mr. Walker, the next question is, if you don't receive an email or a letter, does that mean you were not accepted, or you were not matched to a company?
What I would say is that you will receive a letter and or email one way or another. We always, if you are accepted, of course, you find out what your placement is through letter, through email. And if for some reason, some crazy reason, you're not accepted this year, you would receive a email and or letter. Now, one of the things that I would say is that you want to be sure that your paperwork and your application and everything like that is intact, and make sure that you've gotten the email stating that your application is submitted or you're fine or everything. So you want to check that, because to me, and I think Mr. Walker just sort of leaned a little bit towards it, but the only thing this year that'll keep you from employment is that paperwork isn't completed.
That's awesome. Thank you. So the next question is, what percentage of students who apply end up getting a position? And so I think the goal for this year is, if you complete your application, it will be 100%, right?
That's the goal.
That is correct.
And so if somebody did the application last year and was not matched to a job, will they be chosen this year?
That's a great question. And I'll tell you, it's also significant because individuals that applied last year and did everything they were asked to do with regards to completing their folders or verification are placed at the top of the list for employment opportunities the following year. The odd thing is, many times an individual will not apply and then apply the next year. Then they're kind of back where they are. So if you did not receive an employment opportunity last year, but you completed all of your YouthWorks documents, then you're actually placed at the top of the list this year for first choice on employment. But again, you didn't hear it from us, but you kind of heard it from two people. If you do your paperwork and complete the process this year, there's as close as you can get to a guarantee that you will work with YouthWorks.
That's right. You get your paperwork done.
I think the next question is you've already answered it. So how likely is a 15-year-old to get a job through YouthWorks?
If you get your paperwork done, you 15-year-old, and you want to make sure that you are receive an email stating that your paperwork is complete. All right, so this is what, March the 10th. Mr. Walker, would you say that if anybody who has up to this point completed a YouthWorks application, then by Friday, if their stuff is completed, then they should have at least received an email saying that your paperwork is intact. If you receive an email saying something is missing, you're missing a document or whatever, you want to jump on that as quick as possible.
And this is something I just want to add, because this would be in a future presentation, but it's really important because of what Mr. Johnson mentioned. Make sure when you communicate that you leave a salutation. You leave your name, your full name. Your email address does not let us know who you are. So often we get emails and someone's asking a question that's very specific, but we don't know who they are. So that would be part of our next communications outreach in terms of a presentation. But make sure you identify yourself. Just like a letter, your email should have a salutation. This is Rodney Walker. My phone number is. However you want to be contacted. Otherwise, we have no way of knowing who is asking questions or to answer you a very direct, give you a very direct answer.
That's such a great point, Mr. Rodney. So we're working with the office that you sit in with MOED on a senior recruitment fair. And I know some of the emails that we've gotten didn't have a subject line. And so we had no idea like what it was in reference to. So yeah, so having a subject line that gives the reader an understanding of what they're going to see in the email, and definitely including your name and your contact information is so important. So thank you so much for highlighting that. The next question is, are your grades likely to affect you being considered?
Well, the answer to that is not really. The only way I would say I hesitated because some of the host positions, for example, might be a summer AP course. Now that might affect you getting into that specific opportunity if you're taking AP classes. But no, your grades do not have an effect on your, of course, here in the city. Your grades do not have an effect on you getting a placement in YouthWorks.
But it does have an effect on you moving on to the next grade next year.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
And so, it also has an effect on whether or not you have to attend summer school.
This is true.
And so if you don't do well academically and have to attend summer school, then that summer job that you may have had offered to you may have to be retracted. You can't do both. So I recommend you bring them grades up.
Such a great point. Thank you for that. What positions, jobs do you consider to be office work?
That's a good question. And what's interesting is we normally try to employ by industry, but office work typically for us is anything that's clerical related. We receive a number of clerical positions from a construction company, believe it or not, that are looking to bring aboard individuals that may be working, pursuing something in architecture, or may just have an interest in environmental design. That's one of our larger private sector employers that you technically would be working in the construction industry, but you would be very much doing something that's clerical and related. Also, we consider office to be things like designing websites. We got a number of employers that sought that opportunity out, especially last year because of virtual positions. where you would be asked to create and update a work site. Another that was very prevalent last year for those individuals who you might, your parents might say, what are you spending all that time on your phone? With social media, a number of companies recruited young adults to manage their social media. And of course, there are some guidelines that you have to adhere to based on the company's needs. But another type of office position that we would consider would be if you were working to create games. We had an employer that hired young adults that had an interest in that field, of course, to create games. And so it was something that all of them loved to do. And the employer really went out of their way to train and give it, that industry expertise about how to work in that field, and it was just outstanding. So I could go on and on, but the best way for me to say it is literally any position where you're working in an office environment where there's a dress code that, of course, we would go over with you. We would consider to be office position, but it does cover a wide gambit of different and unique opportunities, especially in today's environment. One of the questions I just answered in the chat was about, we talked about a lot of on-site positions, but I will tell you, most of YouthWorks will be virtual, upwards of 90%. I think someone earlier on asked a question about participation on-site if you're 18 or older. That is a very strict criteria right now. So most of YouthWorks this year will be virtual and not on-site, just to let you know.
Awesome. So I think I've been in enough of these Wednesday sessions to answer the next one. So what's the minimum age for applying? That is 14, but it would be through the public sector and not the private sector. And the process is about the same. What was the next one? You answered the next one, which is like, if for anybody who's 18 and over, there are going to be some opportunities that will be in person. If you're under 18, all of those opportunities will be virtual, correct?
That is correct.
So people have asked for a number, for a phone number to call for support. And I basically put in the flyer that you guys have sent over to us to support students. And the phone number that I have is 410-396-527, which I think also spells out jobs. So they can call that number for any support. Just a reminder, the deadline is next week, Friday.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So it's not that much. It's not that much more time to get your report card, either your social security card or your birth certificate. It doesn't have to be both. It just has to be one or the other. And we are here to support you to make sure that you get your applications complete, because you get to learn a skill, develop additional skills that you already have, build up your resume, and get paid over the summer. And so I know money is good. I know I need money. And so like Mr. Johnson said, he had a bank account that he just left a little bit of money, and a couple of years later, he was like a millionaire. So, we can all hope. And so the one question is, if you wanted to do the AP Government Readiness Program, can you also do another program through YouthWorks, or are you only allowed to do the AP program? And I'm not sure.
It would depend if that AP government program is a YouthWorks work site.
Okay.
And if it is, then you're only allowed to do one YouthWorks position. But keep in mind, we kind of had this a little bit last year, is that I know it's virtual in many instances, but you can't work two jobs from 9:30 to 2:30. Okay. So just keep that in mind. If it's a YouthWorks position that's being hosted and it's AP government, then no, you can only do that one position. If it's something outside of YouthWorks, then you can still work for YouthWorks and work the other job, but just be considerate of the time, because if you're asked to do something for YouthWorks and you're doing your AP government at the same time and there's a conflict, you might not get paid because you didn't perform the aspects that were required of your position. Just keep that in mind.
Thank you so much. And what age can a student decide to work with YouthWorks private sector?
16.
16. Okay. So Noah, to your question, yes. So you can still participate in YouthWorks. It just would be the public sector and not the private sector. And so I just want to thank Mr. Rodney and Mr. Walker. We've been doing this since January. I can't believe we've come to, it's not the end of the road, right? Because we're going to continue this work and supporting our students in their college and career readiness. But I really just want to thank you guys for just going above and beyond and making sure that our students have the resources, and we're developing the skill set to really maximize their summer internship opportunities, but any career that they walk into now and in the future. So I just want to say thank you. Also, I think Albert is with us. I know we might have code in the schools that might want to do a quick message, so I'm going to turn it over to Albert. I put a exit ticket in the survey for students to be able to complete. So please do that. And Albert, I'm going to turn it over to you if you're able to introduce code in the schools.
Yeah, hopefully, well, good morning, everyone. I almost said a good afternoon. We got 10 more minutes before that, but hopefully they are on the line.
Sunny is here. Yep, she just pinged. So yes, Sunny, if you want to come on, if you want to come off video, and if you're not able to, just let me know and I can, hold on one second. Okay, Sunny, so you should be able to come off video and mic and share the resources.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you so much, Albert.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good
How's
morning.
everybody doing this Wednesday?
Doing
So
well.
I just wanted to share with you all very quickly about CodeWorks, which is the program here at Code in the Schools that we do in partnership with YouthWorks. Okay, so CodeWorks is a 6-week coding boot camp, right? So where you get paid to learn real world tech skills. And that's important because the way that our world is going right now, whatever job that you're going to be interested in the future, even if it's not tech related, you're going to need the tech skills as a requirement within the next 3 to 4 years, I'm going to assume. Okay, so what our coding bootcamp gives you the opportunity to learn is game development, right? So we use the software Unity, which a lot of game companies use. So the game companies that make Call of Duty, Fortnite, 2K, Madden, all the games that you play, those developers know Unity. We also teach web development, teaching you how to create your own website, as well as JavaScript, Python, which goes into our cybersecurity line of tech, where you learn about hacking, learn how to do Network Plus, things of that nature, as well as mobile applications. So we have like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all of the mobile apps that you use on your phone. You also learn how to create them here at CodeWorks. Okay. So CodeWorks is open to Baltimore City residents between the ages of 14 and 21. One thing that we want to emphasize to you all is that you must apply to YouthWorks before registering for CodeWorks, okay? So our registration steps are right here on our website, which I'll share the link in the chat with you all, is that first, you must apply to YouthWorks, okay? And the applications are open until March 19th, as it was said before, okay? And then you must register for CodeWorks, okay? CodeWorks is, when you register, it's on a first come, first basis. So you, as soon as you apply for YouthWorks, apply for CodeWorks so that you can be sure to get a spot, to get a seat. All right, is there any questions? And I'll drop this link in the chat for you all, so everyone will have it.
Thanks so much, Sunny, for sharing that information.
No problem.
Well, everyone, I just want to thank everyone again for being with us, Code in the Schools, YouthWorks. I'm hoping you guys are going to enjoy your half day. Don't miss our CTE Friday session on Friday, this Friday, on careers in transportation and engineering. And I'm going to put my email in the chat if you're interested in that, because I did not pull all the links together for all the events coming up. But we have so many events coming up. So please email me and I will send that calendar of events to you. This Friday, we're going to have Southwest, the Coast Guard, the MTA, just talking about all the careers, from if you want to be a pilot to all the different amazing roles in the field of transportation engineering. And that's going to be from 9 to 10 on Friday. I hope you can attend. And we have many more workshops coming up that we really hope that are of interest to you. The exit survey, please complete it so that we know what you're interested in, so we can make sure to provide it. And if you were graduating this year, please, please, please email me so I can send you information on the recruitment fair. We have so many employers who are trying to meet with you to get you to help you get your career started. So if you haven't registered for that, please email me so I can send you information on that. And the deadline to register for graduating seniors is April 7th. I want to thank everyone again. I want to thank all of our teachers and our students for being with us this morning. And I hope you guys have a great week. Anything else you want to add, Mr. Johnson and Walker? I'm going to miss you guys. You can come back anytime. I'm going to pretend this is not our last Wednesday together for this school year.
It's just been very enjoyable.
I just want to
go ahead, Tim.
I was just going to reiterate the importance of getting the application in. Even if you don't have your paperwork right now, even if you don't have your social security card, birth certificate, all that, you must do that application by next Friday. You know, so don't spend a whole bunch of time running around trying to get everything together and then miss the deadline for the actual application. Do the application, then run around and get everything you need done.
Get it done this Friday, right?
Yeah.
Don't even wait till next Friday. Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I think this is going to be such a great summer, whether it's virtual, whether you get to do it virtual or in person. And we just thank you guys for all the work you do to make this possible for our students.
You're welcome.
Okay, everyone have a great day and thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Zainab, did you have a question?